Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Randy Orton recently retweeted a picture in which he spoke about Roman Reigns' family members Edward Smith Fatu and Matthew Tepanuanoa, who were best known as Umaga and Rosie, respectively. Even before making his debut as a third-generation wrestler, Randy Orton was around the business. He recently completed over 20 years with WWE, and has created memories with numerous wrestlers during his time. Orton was also close with members of the Anoa'i family and worked with several of them, including The Rock, Umaga, Rosie, Roman Reigns, and the Usos. Today, he retweeted a picture and shared a heartfelt message for the late Umaga and Rosie. Here's what he had to say. "I'm very happy you posted this pic. I'll save it. Anniversary is coming up where we lost the Samoan bulldozer. I wish I was one of those dudes that took photos of everything. RIP to the OG head of the table, Matty Anoa'i too. So many memories. Too many brothers lost, sweating face emoji." In 2009, Umaga passed away due to a heart attack. A few years later, Rosie also passed away due to congestive heart failure. Randy Orton was set to face Roman Reigns at SummerSlam 2022 before getting injured. Roman Reigns defeated Brock Lesnar earlier this year to unify the WWE and Universal Championships. He later ordered the Usos to do the same by going after Raw Tag Team Champions RK-Bro. The Tribal Chief assisted the duo in defeating Randy Orton and Matt Riddle to become the undisputed Tag Team Champions. After the match, the Bloodline viciously took out RK-Bro, which sidelined Orton for the foreseeable future. Matt Riddle went after the Bloodline to get revenge for his fallen partner but failed. According to Fightful, WWE had plans for Randy Orton to go up against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam 2022 for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. However, Orton's injury sidelined him, and he was replaced by the returning Brock Lesnar as they met in a last man standing match, where Reigns defeated the Beast Incarnate with the help of the Bloodline. Randy Orton leaned back in his steel chair, the subtle hum of the arena's backstage corridor filling the silence between his sentences. It had been a long day of media appearances, meet and greets, and the inevitable hours of reflection that come when you've spent 2 decades carving your name into the granite of WWE history. But tonight, the Viper's mind wasn't on himself. Instead, it lingered on a legacy older and deeper than even his own, the Anoa'i family, Roman Reigns' family, the Bloodline. Orton's eyes narrowed slightly, not with malice, but with the weight of memories that stretched back to locker rooms where he was the brash young third-generation star, still learning how to navigate the unspoken code of wrestling royalty. Back then, the head of the table was not Roman Reigns, at least not yet. "People forget," Randy began, his voice low and deliberate, "when we say head of the table, Roman earned that. But he comes from a line of real OGs. Guys who didn't just talk about it on TV, they lived it. They were it." He paused, rolling a water bottle between his hands. The first name to break through his thoughts was the Wild Samoans, Ufa and Sika, Reigns' father and uncle. The Wild Samoans were larger than life long before the WWE Universe knew what "acknowledge me" even meant. Orton remembered being barely 22, sitting cross-legged near the gorilla position at a house show, overhearing stories about the Wild Samoans terrorizing territories in the 70s and 80s, chewing on raw fish for a promo, barking in Samoan, their eyes wild, their presence undeniable. Back then, man, if you stepped wrong around Ufa or Sika, you'd find out real quick what family meant, Randy said with a slight grin. They didn't just protect each other, they protected the business. That old school code, that respect, it was sacred. Orton's own father, Cowboy Bob Orton, had shared the ring with the Wild Samoans more than once. There was an unspoken kinship there, 2 wrestling dynasties crossing paths long before Roman and Randy would clash in the ring under the bright lights of WrestleMania. Then there was Yokozuna, Rodney Anoa'i, a name that always drew a flicker of reverence from Orton. Randy's eyes softened when he spoke of the massive man who once sat atop the WWE as its world champion. Yokozuna, a 500-pound mountain of quiet power and startling agility, carried the Anoa'i banner into the main event scene at a time when giants still ruled the yard. Yoko. Man, Yoko was a freak of nature. You'd see this dude walk so smooth, so light on his feet. But when he hit you with that leg drop or that bonsai drop, forget it. Done, Randy said with a chuckle, shaking his head. What I remember most, though, was the respect he commanded backstage. Everyone called him champ, and meant it. Orton's memories shifted again, to Rikishi, Roman's cousin, whose hips swiveled to a beat that belied the savagery he could unleash in the ring. Randy laughed a little, recalling the times Rikishi would back that massive frame into the corner for a stink face, the crowd roaring in both delight and horror. Rikishi was the bridge between old school and new. He kept that vibe alive. You knew he was family. You messed with one, you messed with all, Randy said, his tone growing thoughtful. You think Roman doesn't carry that same energy? He does. It's in his blood. The Usos, Jimmy and Jay, were boys when Orton first met them. He remembered seeing them at shows, running around backstage, wide-eyed, watching their dad Rikishi perform, soaking in the sights and sounds that would one day become their world too. When they finally stepped into the ring themselves, Randy watched as they honored their lineage, wild, reckless, charismatic, but always family first. I've fought those boys more times than I can count. Hell, I've teamed with them, fought against them, fought for them, Orton said, a grin flickering at the corner of his mouth. They earned every bit of what they got, but they'll be the first to tell you who laid the path before them. And then there was Roman himself, Joe Anoa'i, the one who would become the tribal chief, the modern head of the table. Orton remembered the first time he saw Roman backstage at FCW, WWE's developmental territory back then. A fresh face, broad shoulders, raw potential oozing from every movement. Roman was quiet at first. Observant. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room, and he didn't have to be, Randy said. He knew what he was. What he could become. And when the time came, he didn't flinch. He took that spot. Randy paused, leaning forward. There was no envy in his voice, only a soldier's respect for a worthy adversary who'd surpassed every expectation. People look at Roman now and see the champ, the tribal chief, the merch, the entrance, the fireworks, but if you know the bloodline, you know he's just fulfilling a promise that his whole family made to this business a long time ago, Orton continued. He's the standard bearer, but he stands on the shoulders of giants. Real OGs. For a man like Orton, whose own legacy is carved into WWE's bedrock, there's no shame in acknowledging the power of another dynasty. In a world where so many come and go, chasing fleeting fame, the Anoa'i family's grip on the industry remains unshakable, a chain of warriors, each link forged in blood and sacrifice. I've been called the legend killer for a reason, Randy said, that familiar flicker of the Viper flashing behind his eyes. I've put down icons, Hall of Famers, heroes. But the bloodline? They're different. You don't just kill a legend like that, you go to war with an empire. He leaned back, a half-smile playing at his lips. So yeah, Roman's the head of the table now. But he's just the latest in a line of kings. And trust me, the ones that came before? They'd be proud of what he's doing. They'd see him and nod, because he's keeping the seat warm for the next one. Randy Orton rose from his chair then, rolling his shoulders as if shaking off the ghosts of the past. There would be more matches, more promos, more moments to test the resolve of the bloodline, that was the nature of the game. But for tonight, the Viper paid his respects. The OG head of the table, not one man, but a whole family whose legacy was too big for any one throne. As Orton disappeared down the corridor, the echoes of the Wild Samoans, Yokozuna, Rikishi, the Usos, and the tribal chief himself lingered in the air, proof that in WWE, some families aren't just remembered,